I know what you're thinking. You're thinking right now, please, Ted, please don't let this be another Thanksgiving gratitude episode. I've already listened to 3 of them already, and I'm in the mood for something else. Well, guess what? It isn't. I'm going to take a different approach to gratitude. I'm going to share some stories about what's been going on. Right now, I've traveled from Orlando to Playa del Carmen, Mexico. So I'm going to catch you up. I'm going to tell you about some of the things that I've been doing to take myself to the next level. As many of you know, my father passed away on October 3rd. And as you might imagine, it was a tremendously stressful time. So I'm going to share how I've been dealing with that, the methods that I've been using to get past it. I'm going to share some things about gratitude, my own personal perspective on it. And all of this is going to be about helping you. All right, it's going to be focused on that. So in case you thought this might be something where, I just tell a story and you're like, well, how does that relate to me? Well, I'm going to make it relevant to you, so you don't worry about that. And if you're listening for the first time, welcome to the Legendary Life Podcast. I am health expert Ted Rice, also coach to executives, entrepreneurs, and other high-performing professionals. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What we say we do on this show is we break down science-based information on how to lose fat, prevent disease, and live a longer, healthier, legendary life. And my episodes, my solo episodes and my interviews that come out on Monday are on that. But on Real Talk Fridays, we go, I don't want to say beyond the superficial talk about exercise and nutrition, because actually exercise and nutrition have a very internal effect. But what we do here is we talk about the other aspects of health that aren't typically talked about, the psychological aspects of health. What does that even mean? How does stress from outside get inside our body? How do our relationships with our family, our friends, our parents, our children, our coworkers, our employees, how do those things affect us? And more. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then you're in the right place. I want you to click that subscribe button to wherever you're listening to this podcast right now, so that next time, if you enjoy this episode, of course, next time one of my episodes goes live, you'll be the first to know. And we've even put something together if you have trouble trying to figure out how to subscribe to the podcast. You can go to legendarylifepodcast.com/subscribe, and we've created just a brief article showing you how to do it. And if you've been listening for a while and you enjoy the show, but you haven't left us a review yet, please do so. That is the highest compliment you can pay back to this show. It's the highest compliment you can pay me, pay to the team, because it's not just me. I'm just the person who comes on the mic, but we have a whole team of people that help produce every single one of these episodes. And it's the highest compliment you can pay to the Legendary Life team. So let's jump into it. Some of you who've been listening to the show for a while may have noticed that some of the episodes that I've done recently have been replays, and there's a good reason for that. I've been taking some time off, as you may know, and as I mentioned earlier today in this podcast, my father died on October 3rd, and if you were with me on the several months long journey of leading up to that point, as well as the few episodes that I did after it, you know what a journey it's been. And for those of you just tuning in, I don't need to tell you, you probably already have an idea of how stressful that might be, even if you haven't lost a parent yet. And in the wake of my father's death, in the context of this crazy coronavirus, COVID-19 chaos that we're all in, it doesn't help either. And it's Thanksgiving in the United States, and most of our listeners are from the United States, but of course we have many Canadians. Happy Thanksgiving to you. You've already had your Canadian Thanksgiving. A lot of people from the UK, Europe, so welcome. But we're going to be talking a little bit about or at least in relation to the United States Thanksgiving. And I'm sure many of you are struggling to find something to be grateful for. And we hear all this talk about gratitude and how it can shift our brains and how we should write 3 things we're grateful for in the morning or before we go to bed or whenever that podcast guru says that we should. But even when we go through the motions of doing that or say, I am grateful for my, that I'm alive and I'm grateful for all those things, we go through the motions, but we don't feel it. And even if we write 3 things we're grateful for down, even if we do a meditation and have a gratitude mantra, you still don't feel it. At least that was the situation I was in. Can you relate? Do you sometimes hear the gratitude thing and you're like, oh man, whatever. I'm just going to go work out. I'll take my supplements. I'll do my sleep hygiene. I'll, make sure I'm eating enough protein. I'll do some meditation. But that whole gratitude thing is a little hard to wrap your head around. Or maybe gratitude comes easily for you. And in that case, good for you. I don't know what else to say. But I'm going to talk to the people who struggle with it because it's something that it's something that I struggle with too. Now, I'm a grateful person, but when we go through things in life, like losing a parent, like some of the things that have been going on recently with COVID, with the uncertainty, the lockdowns, the elections, the political craziness, the people who are arguing so much on social media and, just all the craziness. How do we, when we get a bit overwhelmed with life and the people around us, how do we find something to be grateful for and not find something intellectually, but how do we get that feeling of gratitude? And that's something that I want to share with you today. So let me rewind a little bit. After my father died and after I tied up all the loose ends, I was really struggling. And not struggling as you might think, crying every day and, oh, my dad's gone, oh my God. I'm not in that way. I was struggling to feel. I was struggling to be sad. I didn't cry. I cried a lot leading up to my father's death, but after it happened, I struggled to cry. Like I felt like the emotions were stuck inside of me. Have you ever been through something where it kind of rattles you and for some reason you feel okay in a way, but on the other hand, you're just going through your day. You know that there's something just a little off about the way you feel. You're just a little more on edge. It's a little harder to crack a smile when you talk to people. It's a little harder to feel those good feelings. It's a little harder to feel the gratitude, even though we can say, I am grateful for, or you can write it down in a journal. And I was in that position and I could just feel every interaction I had with people was, it wasn't bad, by the way. It wasn't negative. But I feel that there was a wall in between me and connecting with other people. There was a wall between me and connecting with good emotions. Now, don't get me wrong. I could still laugh. I could still, enjoy myself, but I still felt like I was a bit stuck. Do you know that feeling I'm talking about? And so when I was in Orlando, I went to Universal Studios and rode roller coasters. And you know what? It brought me into the moment. It got a smile on my face. But the thing is, after that was gone, after that was done, after I left the park, I started to shift back to that state, that feeling of disconnection from other people, that feeling of disconnection from my own positive emotions. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to stay here. I feel like something is up with this environment. Something is up with Orlando. And I know some of you may be thinking, well, Ted, that's nice that you can say, oh, something's up with this environment and I'm just going to leave. But I've got a job. I'm not working 100% remotely. Or even if I am, I have kids and, I have a social life. I can't just up and leave. Cool. You don't have to, right? I'm going to share some other things. that can help. So I decided, though, in my situation for where I was and my options, I decided to come to Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And as soon as I got here, I noticed that the environment had a big shift in the way that I felt. There's more sun here than in Orlando. Even though Orlando is quite a sunny place, it was in a bout of bad weather. And because Playa del Carmen is near the ocean, by the way, if you've never heard of Playa del Carmen, it's an hour south of Cancun. Because it's near the ocean, it tends to be more bad weather, just passes right through, except for the hurricanes, of course. You may have seen something about that. And it wasn't just moving the environment or changing the environment, rather. It was, I came here because when I came here, when my dad was struggling, for those of you who listen to those podcast episodes, when I took a trip here to Playa del Carmen, when my dad was in the hospital, and he was in and out of the hospital, and he was, failing, his health was failing, and I had done so much for him. I reached my limit. I was almost, at that burnout stage. And I came here and I had a great experience. And for those of you who didn't hear, just a quick recap, I ended up smoking DMT. I ended up doing an ayahuasca experience. I ended up, doing breath work. I ended up training Muay Thai. I found a great Muay Thai instructor. That's Thai kickboxing, or kickboxing from Thailand. And I went diving. I dove caverns, and I just immersed myself in activities, in things in an attempt to get myself to feel better. And probably most, one of the important things that I haven't mentioned yet is I had a few friends here in Playa del Carmen, and we spent some time together. So all those things really helped at that moment. And I came back to my dad, and I was in such a better state. In fact, I came back early because he was in the emergency room, and that was the last week of his life on September, I think, 27th or 26th, something like that. And so I decided after he died, I was going to come back here. I found peace here. I found growth here. And I was able to get back some of that lightness of being. That feeling where you feel just at ease throughout your day. So many of us, we go through life and we do the right things. We exercise. We try to eat as well as we can. We try to exercise as well as we can. We pay attention to managing our stress. We pay attention to our sleep. We try to be as healthy as we can. But for some reason, there's this background noise that is there running. It's like a program. If we would equate it to a computer, it's like a program that's just taking up some of your RAM. So your performance just isn't quite as good as it should be, or is quite as good as it could be. And performance, what do I mean by that? I'm talking about in your conversations with your partner, your conversations with your kids, being around the people that you care about. There's just something that's kind of taking you away from those relationships. There's something that's taking you away from performing well in work, something that's taking you away from enjoying those moments. Maybe not all the time, but much more than you think it should be. And when I arrived in Playa, that's how I felt. And so I've again immersed myself just like last time, although there will be no ayahuasca experiences. I'm done with that for a little while, or for a long while. But what I have done is I started to make a note of what is working for me, what is not working for me. Like, what are the things that I'm doing that really move the needle? And here's what I found. I started to make a list. When I do cardio every day, that helps. So I've been doing cardio, even if it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's 40 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's just 15 or 20 minutes, but I do something every day, some cardio. I get a sweat on, I get my heart rate up. And for those of you who don't know, post-traumatic stress can affect a part of your brain called the hippocampus. Now, the hippocampus is a part of your brain that's involved in learning and memory. And it's the part of your brain that gets at least from the studies that we have, that gets heavily affected by post-traumatic stress. In fact, what they found is studies have found that people with a smaller hippocampus actually have a higher likelihood to develop post-traumatic stress syndrome or post-traumatic stress disorder. And guess what? What is the one thing that can help your brain, specifically your hippocampus? Aerobic exercise. So for all of you out there who are like, oh, I got to go do my cardio. It's like, I know people say that lifting weights is the best way to change my body, but if I don't get my cardio in, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be a problem at home. There's going to be a problem at work. I need to get my cardio in. Well, now you know why. You've probably got something going on psychologically or maybe brain-wise. Of course, those two are interrelated and interconnected. And the cardio helps that part of your brain. It's not just the endorphins. It's not just, the other things that happen. It's the neurotrophic factors that get released by the glial cells in your brain that help create new brain cells in this area of your brain called the hippocampus. So that's something I've been doing every day. Another thing that I've been doing is I get some sun. I'll tell you, if you're interested in fighting off COVID, one of the interesting studies that have come out is higher vitamin D levels seem to be connected with either not getting COVID or less severe COVID. I'm sorry. And I apologize if I get one of those details wrong. It's not something I've been reading a lot about lately, but I believe it was less severe COVID. But vitamin D certainly helps your immune system. And there's some studies that show that I believe it's maybe not preventing, I'm not sure about that, but it's definitely less severe COVID cases. So you better believe I've been getting some vitamin D. And sun exposure goes way beyond just the vitamin D levels. It does all types of things for you. I'm not going to get into that right now, but just understand that that's something. Just go out and try it. And it doesn't have to take long, and you don't have to expose yourself in a dangerous way so that you get sunburn. You can put sunscreen on, but just getting out there, it helps set your circadian rhythms. It helps with your vitamin D levels. It helps create other chemicals in your brain that help you feel good. And it doesn't take much. Another thing that I've been doing is I know that martial arts really helps me. So I've been doing Thai boxing sessions twice a week. I've been focusing on nutrition. I've been focusing on getting good quality sleep. I've been doing my meditation, not every day, but most days. And all of this has been helping. But I still feel a little like I needed something else. I was still struggling with the way I felt. I was still struggling with like that heaviness that I woke up with and went to bed with every night. In fact, some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, and some of you have it, but you've had it for so long, you don't even remember what it was like to not have that heaviness in your life. After that divorce, after losing a parent like I have, after something that happened in your childhood, after this whole COVID craziness that's happened. You've been carrying that heaviness with you, and now it's just part of who you are now. But I'm telling you this, I'm here to tell you, you can get back to that place. And the one thing that I want to share with you that's really interesting, and I shared this last time, is I started doing breath work. One of the reasons I chose to come back to Playa del Carmen as opposed to going somewhere else is because I met someone here last time. Her name is Sabine, and I'll interview her on the show, but she does breath work and she is highly skilled at it. Now, I've done breath work a bunch of different times, and I'm not talking about Wim Hof breath work or, just any breath work that you can learn and do off of YouTube. She has a special gift. And what do I mean by that? Well, like I said earlier, I've been having trouble feeling grateful. I've been having trouble feeling happy or feeling positive emotions, right? I just felt this this background hum, this background noise that was kind of like this static that was taking away from my ability to connect with other people, to connect with myself, and to really enjoy my life. And then I started the breath work with Sabine again while I was here in Playa del Carmen. And let me tell you, it's been incredible. So incredible that I've decided to stay here longer just so I could continue to work with Sabine. So here's what happened. She came over and we talked for a bit about what had happened since I last saw her. We talked for a bit about how I was feeling, about what I was struggling with. And then we laid down to do some breathing. And I'll be honest, breath work is not something that I really like. Oh, I can't wait to do some breath work. It feels like work. That second part, breath work. Now, I find meditation easy for me to do. It's so relaxing. I love doing meditation. Especially these days, I mostly do this lying down meditation. I haven't done sitting meditation in a while. So relaxing. But breath work, I feel this resistance to do it. And it's one reason why I say don't try to do it on your own. And, it's just, it feels like too much work and most people won't be able to do it and won't get the benefits. They'll try it on their own. They'll say, oh yeah, I don't know, this doesn't work for me. It's even harder to do than meditation. I think meditation is way easier to do, way easier to get benefits from. If we're talking about how to release suppressed emotions so that you can get that lightness of being back, that get rid of that white noise, that static that's playing in the background, that program, that virus maybe that's running on your computer, taking up RAM, that program that you need to delete off your computer. So we sat down, we started breathing, and I'll tell you, this is how the sessions go. I start breathing. And the way you breathe, you're like, and you just keep doing that and go on for a long time. I mean, I've done 90 minutes of these breathwork sessions. It's so intense. But you get to this point where you start to have this breakthrough. But at the beginning, you go through a lot of thoughts. It's, I was thinking, food, I want to eat some food. I don't really want to be doing this breath work right now. I can't wait till it's over. I can't wait to watch some Netflix. And man, I wonder if that taco place is open. And those are the thoughts that I'm thinking. My brain's just resisting doing the breath work, but I stay committed and I stay there and I keep breathing. And I breathe through all the resistance. And eventually what happened was, all the distractions, all the thoughts about eating food, all the thoughts about Netflix, all the thoughts about really the things that so many of us, I mean, I don't know if you realize this, but those are the things that I go to distract me from my life, to distract me from the things that I don't want to think about. And I don't even mean me, I mean my body sometimes, right? I don't even mean me, the conscious me, but my subconscious. And as I breathe through the resistance, all these thoughts that come up, like the tide going back into the ocean, revealing what's underneath, my subconscious came up and I saw my dad. I saw his body. I saw him dead. I saw his dead body and I started weeping. I started crying. For the first time since it happened, since his death, I finally was able to connect with those emotions and let go. And I cried and I cried and I cried. And after the session was done, I came up, I sat up, and I felt like I got release. I got rid of the static. I deleted at least part of that program that's taking up that RAM in my mind that's preventing me from connecting with others, from all the things that I've already talked about, and also from being grateful. And one of the final thoughts that I had after I saw him and wept for him and held him, of course, in my mind's eye, in this visualization I was having, I felt so grateful. I felt so grateful to be alive. I felt so grateful for everything that my dad did for me. Was he the perfect parent? No. Not even close, right? He was a workaholic, alcoholic, severely flawed human being, but he did his best. And I started to realize I'm grateful because I have this opportunity to carry on what he started and to become better and to be part of the shift in consciousness that's happening really all over the world on trying to be better, recognizing that while tradition is good, things need to change for the better. And certainly at an individual level, things need to change for me for the better. And my point in sharing this with you is so many of us, we go through, again, we say what we're grateful for. We'll sit there on Thanksgiving dinner with our families and give thanks. We'll say a prayer if you're religious, but we don't feel it. And some of us are so disconnected that we don't even realize that we don't feel it. And I want to ask you right now, how connected are you with how you truly feel about where you are in life, about who you are at this point in your life, about what's going on, about how you're handling things? And I don't mean in a judgmental way, but just in an honest way. There's no need for the harsh criticism, but there is a need for that radical honesty. And so again, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And I want to share with you, if you are struggling to feel the gratitude, especially if you're struggling to feel the gratitude and you're doing a lot of the right things, you're exercising, you're eating right, you're taking your supplements, you're doing all these things, but you still feel like there's just something that's not clicking for you. There's just something that's taking away from your ability to fully be present, to fully perform at your highest potential, to reach, self-actualization. What I'm here to tell you is there's a way past that obstacle. No matter what you've been through in your life, no matter if it's just something new and it's with this whole COVID-19 craziness that's happening, whether it's something that happened to you in your childhood, whether that's something that happened to you a few years back, whether you lost someone, a parent, a sibling to cancer, to suicide, to heart attack, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a situation professionally, which can be highly traumatic as well. There's a way past that. There's a way back. And that's really my message to you today. So if you're struggling with gratitude, if you're struggling to see how do you get from this point of where you are to where you want to be, I'm telling you it's out there. And I'm also telling you that I'm committed to helping you realize what that is for you. Because it might be different. I'm talking about breath work here today, but it could be something different for you. And I'm so grateful to be able to bring that to you. And I can't wait I've got big plans coming for this podcast. I can't wait to share with you some of the things that I've been learning as I've been going through this process. It's going to help redefine health for you. It's going to help redefine success for you. It's going to help you perform at a higher level. It's going to help you maybe even most importantly realize why the things that you're doing, even though you're quote unquote doing everything right, why you're not getting results, why you're not having that experience of life that you really feel that you should have based on all the hard work you've been doing. There's an answer to that. And you and I are going to help figure that out. And I'm super grateful to be able to bring that to you. So that's all I've got for now. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you got something out of it. In fact, I would even ask you, what is your big takeaway from listening today? Was it something I said? Was it something I mentioned? Was it something that came up for you as a result of listening to this podcast? What was it? What was the big takeaway for you? And on top of that, what is something that you can take action on? So those are the thoughts that I want to leave you with. Happy Thanksgiving to all my United States listeners, and well wishes to everyone else listening in the world. I love you and I can't wait. I'm so excited. And again, I'll come back to that word, grateful, to be able to bring you what I've got planned for this podcast for you. So enough talk. Enjoy your Friday, and I will speak to you on Monday.